Okay, everybody. Today is a very, very exciting day, as it is exciting that we are going to be launching LifeVantage in the Philippines middle of this year. So I'm really excited about it because I know what it's like in the Philippines. It's an exciting market. And today we have a very, very special guest. So in fact, I really want to give a proper um, introduction to Simon, because when I first met Simon, I met him in a lift in Manila, going to this office in my previous company, and he didn't even know I met him, but I knew him because almost every distributor that I've met is in his downline. So we were in this lift, and if you know me, I talk to everybody, but I did not talk to Simon. But little did I know that he was going to be my mentor, who's going to help me get to multiple six figures. So honestly, guys, I've learned so much from Simon with his mentoring and coaching. And so I'm so honored, to have hosted him in so many face-to-face events here in Australia. And of course, if you are listening to podcasts, make sure that MLM Nation is on your playlist. There's so much value over there. And Simon has been giving value to the community, to this industry for many, many, many years already. And so, without much further ado, let me just say that Simon has built a seven-figure network marketing business with over 200,000 distributors in over 18 countries. In the Philippines, probably about 80 to 90% of the distributors are in Simon's downline. It's crazy the numbers of equivalent to elites that he was able to develop. He's the creator of the number one network marketing podcast, MLM Nation. Make sure you subscribe and download with over 5 million downloads. He has an email list of over 40,000. So if you're not on the email list, make sure you are on the email list. And he's got a Facebook following of 86,000. 86,000. MLM Nation is probably over 70,000 already, and has trained, in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So and before I end, I just want to say, follow Simon if you want to learn the skills, the mindset and leadership on how to grow a six-figure business and elite business. This is the guy to follow. So without much further ado, we'll hand it over to the one and only Mr. Simon Chan.
Hey, thank you so much, Josie. It's great to be here. Excited. It's an honor. And to tell you, if you want to be, I always talk about if you want to be successful, don't just copy what people do, copy how they think. And Josie is an amazing networker. Always knows how to make people feel good and caring and being a giver. All right. So, uh, anyway, let me know where you're from. This is awesome. We have people out in Australia and Sydney to Philippines to Texas. Really cool. New Jersey. By the way, I lived in New Jersey, Jersey City for like a year. Way, way back. Arizona, not too far from me. So it's really cool. I think we got the whole world here. So, before I share about my background, and I know a lot of you have questions for me, is, you know, if you want to be successful, you want to be a giver, and consistently giving, right? So you see people, maybe you have had success yet, maybe you're stuck, you're not successful yet, but people who are successful are givers. You want to influence, you need to be a giver. So someone like Josie, a good example is, maybe sometimes you see your company, you're new, and you see all these success stories, they make, six figures in 6 months. Well, first of all, don't compare yourself to other people. Okay. I definitely was not six figures in 6 months. It took me a lot of pain. I can share with you a lot of pain and suffering. Hard, and I'll show you what not to do and what to do. But don't compare, because you don't know people who come in right away. Like I'm just a shy, quiet kid from Brooklyn, New York. And I didn't have an experience. I just mind my own business, right? Meaning I'll show up at a job and I'll work. I didn't know anything about networking. But people like Josie is amazing givers. People who are successful in network marketing, even before they joined, now they may be from another company like Josie, but even before they joined another company, they were giving in their community, right? They could have been a pastor, it could have been a coach, it could have been a teacher. That's how you create influence, by giving. in your community. And right now, like online, you can, the easy thing is you don't need to go anywhere. If you provide consistent content online, you will have influence. I mean, a lot of you probably heard of my MLM Nation podcast. If you haven't, definitely check out Josie's episode. On there, we actually have a lot of LV leaders out there, from Rachel Jackson to Tara Wilson to Charlotte Venter, who did some coaching with me. Josie did coaching. They're all on there, right? So you got to be consistent, giving. And one of the biggest givers is Josie. And I don't even consider her as a friend. I consider her auntie. Hopefully it doesn't make her feel that old. But there's so many stories. I'll tell you, when you want to create influence, like, why am I here on a Friday night? I could be doing other things. Normally, I do calls, but not on a Friday night. Actually, I was going to do baseball with my son. I did with two of my boys. It's because Josie's a giver. You know, I can share countless stories. And I'm not here to flatter her, but really teach her what it takes to create influence. Like, why did I do this for her and not for other people? Right? I charge for other people to do this. Right? In fact, I mean, this whatever how many people, I just charge a big rate for a group that was much smaller than this. But because you know what? Even when she expected nothing, Josie picked me up from the airport. Josie, I still remember 2 times when, 2 very memorable moments. She knew I'm Filipino. I know we have some Filipinos and Filipinas in the house here. I've been to the Philippines over 10 times in 2 years, and I know she talked about I got built a big team. You know, I built a big team because of luck. But I showed up consistently. When you are consistent enough, you get lucky enough. Okay, for every time I brought in a leader that brought in 300 people in a month, right? But I also recruited a lot of people that end up nowhere. I also did the meetings at 3 a.m. in Eastwood in Manila that led to nothing, right? But you just have to keep showing up all the time. And I think as you listen to other people, other leaders, you have to remember that everyone loves the glory, but no one likes the story. You know, I built a team of like 200,000. You don't want to know the 3 a.m. meetings. You didn't want to know that one time we almost got carjacked. You don't want to know the serious true story. Someone sabotaged in the. I thought it was like, Philippines is a beautiful country, beautiful people. I didn't realize, just like in any other country, there's a couple bad apples. Actually put a rock in the middle of the road, and our car ran over it, busted our tires, and 2 guys on motorbikes try to basically mug us, kidnap us. But I was so fortunate, God blessing, like some other truck came by to stop to help us. So these 2 guys went by. So many stories out there, right? In Philippines, I'm not smarter than any of you, but I show up consistently every single day. But anyway, back to Josie. I remember I loved Salmon Head Synagogue, and she went there, and I was doing a workshop, a no BS event, and she made sure I had Salmon Synagogue to eat every single day, freshly made. And if she couldn't deliver it, somehow she used her influence and found someone to go to my hotel and gave it to me. Okay, and that was in 2016 in Burwood. I'll never forget that. I was touched. And then another time was a big lesson for me. I got really, really extremely sick, and I showed up for a workshop. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter how sick I am, I'm showing up. But this was where God tested me. At 3 p.m., I couldn't even really walk around, but somehow my flight was at 10 p.m. God's blessing, I made it to that flight, got on there, and once I got there, Josie got all these health foods for me, waiting for me. You know, that's how you create influence, right? And she's the type of person that didn't do, I'm going to do this, and one day you're going to do this for me. It's giving. Networking is about, just so you have a bank account, you're giving constant deposits. Giving. It just grows. And one day when you need something, they'll look at it, right? If you are sending out a video, if you're sending out a presentation, by the way, I'll just put it point blank here. You all have an awesome product, right? But your product is not going to get people to join or buy. It's not about the product. And in many ways, when you have an awesome product, it makes you lazy. You think, the product's going to sell itself. No, you need to do the work. Right? If it's the product itself, then everyone will be in LV will be making lots of money because the product is awesome. But some of you are struggling, some of you are great, some of you in the middle, you see different people because ultimately people are buying you. They're buying you. How often you show up? Do they trust you? Are you showing up every day? Like you talk about, this is a great, hey, Una, good to see you. I saw my friend Una there. I just had to say hi to her. So if you're not showing up every day, because if you have kids, it's like this. People don't listen to what you say. They listen to what you do. You say, LV is awesome, but you're not showing up every day. Consistency will even build or destroy your business. And you got to show up every day. And in social media, we talk about social media makes it easier. In many ways, social media makes it harder than ever if you're not consistent. Now, if you're consistent, it helps you out. If you're not consistent, you're screwed. Because back in the day, right, if you did a home meeting, you can go to the home meeting. Oh, you're excited. Show up. The next day, 2-3 days, you slack off a little bit. No one's going to know. Now, social media, you have to show up every single day. You got to be posting every day. You got to do a story every day. If you follow me on social media, I post every single day, whether I like it or not. Yeah, you have to do it because people are watching you. I'll give you an example of people watching you. I'm about to start. We finally got the restrictions relaxed in California, so we're starting Little League Baseball. I can't believe it. We're starting. And I'm coaching 2 teams, helping out. So basically involved with 3 teams. I don't even know how I'm doing it, but the last couple of days, I see people on Facebook, people you may know, all these new people. You know what that is? Those are people that are clicking on your profile, right? Or LinkedIn, new profile views. All these people checking out your profile. You know what? I was like, I don't know these people. Then the last names sound familiar. You know who they are? They're the parents of the kids I'm coaching. Right? They're checking me out. They're like, oh, this guy, Simon Chan, he's coaching my son, coaching my daughter. Who is this guy? Everyone in the world has either Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn profile. Everyone in the world is either one of those 3. Now, some people may not be on Facebook, they're corporate, but they're on LinkedIn. They're clicking on my LinkedIn profile. You have to show up every single day. You got to make sure when someone, we're talking about the business card. In the U.S., no one does business cards. Actually, my son didn't even know about business cards. I'm like, what is this card? Because of COVID. But your profile is your business card. When someone clicks on your profile within 5-10 seconds, do they feel like, wow, okay, I should listen to this person? Or, whatever. Right? Some of you were recruited by Josie. Some of you were recruited by, like, Una. Or some of the leaders there, right? The reason you listen to them is because they have influence. They're a giver. If you want people to listen and pay attention to the video or whatever you're sending them, up your game. Be an influencer. Right? Think about it. Think about someone that you look up to. Right? Who's someone you look up to? So Tony Robbins. We all kind of know Tony Robbins, right? Doesn't matter in U.S. or Australia, right? We all know Tony Robbins. If Tony Robbins say, hey, you know what? I got something important. And I'll give you an extreme example, right? If Tony Robbins messaged you and said, hey, you know what? Hey, what's going on? How's it going? He may say, how's it going? You may reply back, I'm good. Is this the real Tony Robbins? He's like, yeah, it is. He's like, hey, I'm working on something. It may not be for you. Would you be open to taking a look? I think it'd be really helpful. How many of you would take a look at it? Just nod your heads. No? Well, yes. Right? Now, do you think Tony Robbins needs to spend time building relationship, chit-chatting? Or he'd be really direct? He'd be really direct. He doesn't need to chit-chat because he's built that authority already through the years of content by showing up consistently. So if people are now watching your videos, because they don't respect you, they don't really trust you. Now, you may be a nice person, but they don't trust something you have. Because in every relationship, there's 3 levels. Okay, 3 levels. So for example, just say my friend John. John's going to look at me. John's going to either think he's better than me, he's either at the same level as me, or he looks up to me. Same thing with your prospect. Every one of your prospects, your friends will either look up to you, or think they know just as much as you do, or think they know more than you do. A, B, or C. They look up to you, they think on the same level, or they look down on you. Which one would you want? Obviously, you want A, right? If someone looks up to you, it's so much easier to get them to sign up and be a customer. That's how influence is created. But that influence is created by content. Showing up all the time. Anyway, I can go on and on. I know you guys all have questions for me. And Josie, if you want to stop, you can always cut me off because I just get very passionate when I talk about it. But I want to share a few slides, okay? Share a couple images here. So, my purpose-driven life to have a positive impact, as many lives as possible. And I believe everyone can earn a part-time income in network marketing. And my mission is to help 1,000 network marketers like yourself get to at least $1,000 a month. I'll tell you what is the number one skill. I talked about it. The number one skill is consistency. It's not something you're born with. It's not something It is a skill you develop, and it is the mother of all skills, because when you are consistent, it creates mastery. You could be good at anything. I was not good at speaking. And actually, in fact, if you're not good, something to inspire, not to show off, to inspire upon you. Every master was a disaster, and I was a disaster, right? We have a bunch of people on here. I mean, it's an honor. It's like a flattering for me. Like, you're taking your Saturdays, afternoons, or Friday nights, late night out in New Jersey to listen to me, a fast-talking Asian kid, to talk about consistency. But you know, when I first started, I had a team of 14 people. And I was my mentor told me to step up. And I was like, all right, I'm going to step up and do my first training call. And I did my first training call. It was, I had 14 people. I remember I was working part-time in Long Beach. And in the back of my Toyota 4Runner, this is way before Zoom. I had like a teleconference dialed in, and only 4 people showed up. Like 4 people showed up. Like, oh, this is my debut. How come only 4 people showed up? Anyway, I was talking about talking, training. In 17 minutes, I finished. I was like, any questions? There's no questions. I'm like, yes. First one, I did it. I'm good. And then one of my friends, he actually knew me from university. He raised his hand and said, Simon, his name is Anthony. He said, Simon, you spoke so fast, no one understood what the heck you're talking about. Right? That's how I started. But yeah, I'll tell you, consistency creates mastery. My first live videos weren't good, but they were never good. And by the way, if you show up consistently, it actually, and even you're bad, you keep showing up, that inspires people. Here's the thing. Think about this. If you're so bad and people look at you, right, just on social media, you post something, and you stop doing it, what do you think people think? Oh, that didn't work out. That LV thing didn't work out. But you're so bad, and you keep showing up and still doing live videos and posting, and you still suck, you're still terrible. What do people think? Well, this thing must be working. Because why is she doing that way? Why she keeps doing it? See, people like to get inspired by people who don't quit. People actually will follow you. And actually, in fact, if you're not good and you still show up, it inspires your team. That inspires your team. Like, wow, you're not giving up. But you know what people don't like? They don't like one-hit wonders. They show up and they're gone. Don't be a one-hit wonder. But you know, for me, it's consistency is a skill. It's something everyone can develop. I'll share a few things too. But you know, once upon a time, I've been in this profession for almost 20 years. Hopefully, I don't look as old as I am. But I got started, and Josie doesn't know this, but I know we're not supposed to show commission checks, but I'm gonna show you a commission check none of you ever seen before. A big fat goose egg. That was my commission check. Okay. By the way, you never get in trouble with the FTC with this commission check. Here's another commission check. A donut. Another commission. Another week. A couple weeks later. Pancake 0. Bagel 0. 0. All zeros. Okay. By the way, this is not the same screenshot. The different months. 0. A couple months later, 0. This is what I was doing. I was just going the hard ways. I didn't have a checklist of things to do. I was just no one to help me stay consistent. I'll just go to training, get motivated, training, but no consistency. And my turning point was someone helped me become consistent. Right? The new way, you got to work off a checklist. You team up with income-producing activities. Right? Someone to help you stay consistent. Someone to hold you accountable. Very important. That was the turning point. That's where after that, I got my first $200 check. Here's an old picture. Back in the day, I've been building online since 2004. I moved to LA. I don't have many friends. I'm not like outgoing. I'm not like Josie, very outgoing talking. I'm like a hermit. You know what? In fact, when I go to Australia, I really miss going to Australia. I was just telling my wife this. I miss the travel. I miss the people, but I also miss the long flight. It's like 16 hours there. You may think, Simon's crazy. Why do you want to miss a long flight? Because no one talks to me. I just like peace and quiet. By the way, I'm on a plane. Don't ever talk to me. I put my hat like this, and I pretend to sleep. I am the most antisocial person out there. That's why I built online. Okay. I started building using Google AdSense, Overture, eventually built a team of over 200,000 people. This was just a picture from our team events in the Philippines. I was the #1 fastest growing distributor in our company. And then, you know, network marketing, you need duplication. right? Duplication is important. So my wife and I say, hey, there's two of us, so let's start duplicating. So start duplicating. As you can see, we're pretty good at duplication. My oldest son looks exactly like me. All right, my youngest one looks exactly like my wife. Our kids are a little older now. I'm warning you, they may come in anytime. They may come in any time, right? Yeah, Obi's more popular than all of us. He's a Bichon Frise. Obi's my first son. He's the 12, 9, 7, and 5. So the house is a zoo. This was a picture a couple years ago. My son has toothpaste on his hair. I'm rushing to get them to school. My youngest one's in my arm. My wife is making breakfast. I got toothpaste here, and I took a picture. I'm like, oh my. But you know what? This business, you don't need that much time, but you need consistent time. All right, and as I built my business, I just realized, thank you for the kind words, Clarissa. I had a different purpose. I realized my company was just a drop in the bucket. I wanted to make a bigger impact. That was God's calling. I've been a full-time trainer since 2013. I can't believe it, Josie. That's when we did our first event in Australia 8 years ago. I still remember that. So, anyway, those are some pictures, a little bit about me. I know, Josie, I have a couple other things I can share, but I know a lot of people have questions. I'll let you run the show. Otherwise, I'm so passionate, I can just talk on and on and on. Oh, you're muted, Josie. Hold on. Let me...
Okay.
You have to unmute yourself.
Thank you for that, Simon. So we really also want to pick your brain in relation to how you got started in the Philippines, because I know that you did a lot of work before you went to the Philippines. So we want to know, how did you get started before the launch, and what did you do at the launch, and how did you maintain and develop those people, leaders?
All right, so we'll go one at a time.
Yeah.
The most important thing, doesn't matter whether you're doing Philippines or whatever, you don't need results. People think I need results. If I have results, I'll be easier to convince people. You don't need results. Okay, that's the wrong way to think. If I had some results to show, I can get people. All right, so some of you, maybe you'll get good at getting customers, but you can't get people to join. Because you have good results with the product, Portano, but you don't have results. So you can't get people to join, right? Beata, thank you for the kind words. But what people buy is three things. They buy your change, your commitment, and your consistency. Those are the three things. Change. People buy how are you changing? Your change is not just like the product change, but you're changing habits, attitude. That's how I got my warm market. I used to party, just play basketball, into sports, and all of a sudden, I'm reading books, I'm attending trainings. Change. How have you changed? I remember my friends who used to tell me, hey, go out there and come over and watch the Laker game. I was a big basketball fan. And I was like, I can't, because it was during my prospecting time. Okay? Treat your business like a job. That's another tip. And I was like, I can't. And he's like, why? I gotta work on my business. And it was like, you still doing that thing? They say, not business. You still doing that thing? And you know what I said? I don't defend. I don't fight. I was like, if you only knew how great the business was, you missed the game too. And people are like, oh. Okay, it's your change. And people buy your commitment, how committed you are. When I was single, this is way before Josie met me, I used to party, hang out to 2, 3 in the morning after the clubs closed, and then there was the after party, right? And then I would go home. My friends said, how come you want to hang out? So I got to go to sleep. Why? Because, our team had a team trainings at 11 a.m. But the problem was 11 a.m. was 11 a.m. Eastern time, which was 8 a.m. my time, which is way too early if you're partying until 3 a.m. in the morning. So I'll go back. It's like, what? Come on, just skip the training. And I was just like, if you only knew how great the business was, you'd be at the training too. And I always showed up. Okay, I do admit, there were more than a couple times on Saturday morning, I'll wake up at 7:55, you have the raspy throat from partying too much, and I'll be like, hey, this is Simon from LA, how's it going? How you doing? I'll say hi to everyone, and then once the call started, it was muted. Thank goodness, there was no Zooms back then, there was no teleconference. And then once it started, I'll mute and go back and take a nap. And I'll wake up at the end. But I always made sure my team heard me. And my team knew that I was partying. My team, because again, people don't listen to what you say, they listen to what you do. I always showed up. This is Simon from Los Angeles. How's it going? And my team was like, oh, Simon's on there. And I'll hop on to the end. All right, everyone, have a great week. People buy your commitment and your consistency. So in the Philippines, how it worked out was on Facebook, I met someone. I met a bunch of people. By the way, it's all a numbers game, right? I had thousands of leads. I did some Facebook marketing. Back then, it was very different from now. It's a lot different. I was able to do stuff you can't do now. But by the way, stuff that I did back then, you can't necessarily do now. But there's so many opportunities now that you can't do that didn't exist before. Right? So I did this stuff. I did some Facebook ads. I did Facebook. And you know what? How I grew the meeting was I found a guy that was, long story short, he wanted to meet his wife. His wife was a maid, basically a maid, to sound bad, like a domestic helper maid in LA, meeting at midnight in LA. I met the wife in LA. It was on Skype. Okay, there's no such thing as Zoom back then, in 2008. And then he and his nephew was watching on Skype, and I was presenting to the wife from 12 midnight to 1 a.m. in the morning. And I tell you, most Americans, I'm American, I'm as American as apple pie baseball. Most Americans would not do a meeting at midnight on a Saturday night. It's family time, sleeping. I drove all the way an hour to do that. Now, that was a success story. There's a lot of meetings that led to nothing. There's meetings that done at 3 a.m. that led to nothing. Right? You know, you ask about how to handle rejections. Rejections is their loss. The most important thing, I tell you, the most important thing is how you see yourself. I see myself as a leader. I'm the next greatest thing. I'm going to help expand the country. I'm expanding my vision. They don't want it. That's okay. Enough. They don't get it. They don't want it. They're going to miss out. It's their loss. It's not my loss. Because I know this, whatever, having 7 billion people in the world, 6 billion probably not qualified, but just in the U.S., there's 300 million. I'll just take 10% of that, 30 million prospects I'll talk to. I'm not worried about the one person that said no. In fact, when we went to the Philippines, I recruited 30 people in the first 6 months, and 29 all quit. But that doesn't matter, because all you need is one guy, and one person, next thing, leads to over 100,000 people there in the span of 2 years. But you keep going. But it's how you see yourself. I start seeing myself as, it's in the mind, right? Some of you are purpose-driven networks I always talk about. It's how you see yourself. Joe, you always act consistent to how you see yourself. You see yourself as struggling. You know what? You could be struggling for the rest of your life. You see yourself as, by the way, that's also, you see yourself not successful. That's all fiction and BS anyway. That's not true. Who's going to say you're going to be, you say, oh, tomorrow's going to be like today. That's fiction. I don't know what's going to happen to you tomorrow. You don't know. You can be very, very successful tomorrow. You can be not successful. We all don't know, right? It's just like, if you have fear of prospecting, let's just have a list of people. Most people, if you procrastinate, you're like, oh, these people are going to say no. You're worried about rejection, and that's why you don't reach out to people. When I follow up, I'm following up. Everyone's dying to hear from Simon Chan. They're excited when I call them. I'm not spamming them. They're excited. Oh, my goodness, this time you actually reached out to me. It's how you see yourself. Your moral greatness, and you know what? If you're stuck, it's because you're living in the past. If you're earning less than $1,000 a month, you talk more to yourself than to other people. I'm not good enough, or I'm bothering them, I'm spamming them, or I'm too bad, this is too pushy. I'll tell you, if Tony Robbins reached out to you, he doesn't even need to build a relationship. Hey, take a look at this. Here's the tip. This is really the secret. Talk like you're Josie. Or any of the top leaders out there. Talk like you made it. Now, I'm not talking about lying about income, but about the confidence. And every business is like that, right? Jeff Bezos, when he first started Amazon, he had no idea. He's faking it. Right? Elon Musk, we all know Elon Musk. Tesla wasn't even making money, but he's talking about Tesla's going to be awesome. He's lying. He's all faking it. But it's better than faking. It's faithing it. You have faith in your vision. Right? SpaceX. These are SpaceX, right? Sending people. Has that ever happened? Does he have a track record? People are just buying his vision. People are buying your vision. And it has to be committed, consistency. So when I went there, okay, so rejection is like, if you're strong in vision, who cares? They're not qualified. They're not good enough to be part of my team. And actually, for rejection, I want people to say no to me really quickly. I don't want people like, I need to take time to think about it. Just tell me yes, tell me no, but tell me fast, I gotta go. Because my time is too valuable for them. See, Your time. Tell me fast, tell me no, tell me yes, tell me no, but tell me fast, I gotta go. Because my time is way too valuable for that person. In fact, when you do, this will help you get more signups. When you talk to a prospect, a lot of you make a mistake is talking to them forever. But you have it forever, you're not successful. Successful people don't act like that. Successful people, you have a 15-minute. I talk to my prospect, you know, I love to talk to you longer. I got 20 minutes of another call. So so let's handle the questions right away. So immediately, you know what? Psychology, I don't want you. You better make a decision in 20 minutes, I'm moving on to someone else. Then people, oh, what? See, the more you chase, the more they run away. The more you don't want them, the more they actually come to you. Now, a lot of ladies here, right? You know, when guys chase after you, you play hard to get. Right? Back in there. And then all of a sudden, the guy stops calling. You're like, oh, what happened? What happened? Right? Now, I didn't figure out that game until I was in my mid-20s. That's why I never had a girlfriend for the longest time. But that is human nature. The more you chase, you feel, oh, I can't believe you rejected, the more they don't want to join. No one wants to join a club they can get into. Think about it. You go to a restaurant, one is packed, one is empty. Which restaurant do you want to go to? Which restaurant do you think is better? The one that you have to work to get in. But getting back to the Philippines, I created marketing, and you know what? I wasn't a top income earner. I wasn't even a top 75 income earner, but the competition was intense and cutthroat there, to say the least. Okay? Cutthroat. But I just showed my vision. I told people this is what was going to happen. I wasn't, we had top leaders there to stay there for 6 months. But you know what? I went back there 10 times in 2 years. Even before I had results, I showed up about having results. Okay, I remember the first time I went there in September, October, November, December. Company wasn't open. A lot of people came in December and January. Everyone comes during the launch in January. But I was there 4 months before the launch. That's commitment. And if you want to get good people, the leaders, they don't shop. I'll tell you, if you want to get good people, the Philippines has great network marketing leaders, right? They don't look for the product. Because everyone says they have a good product. By the way, and I think that's what LV has a great product. It's actually a disadvantage because it makes you lazy. They buy your commitment. So they show you commitment. And one of the stories of how I built a team was these people. I told them, when you get started, I have an apartment, like a base. Do that. I did a lot of groundwork, Renee. Right? And you got a groundwork, and you have to sink money in. And I talk about the Philippines. Here's some no BS. Unless you want to make it big, don't even bother. I sink in lots of money. You can calculate the flights. I went in September, once in October, once in November, 3 times. Flights alone, that was at that time $6,000 already before I earned 1 penny. Not including hotel fees and all that stuff, okay? But you want to make it big. And I was like, I'm going to make it big. And you start acting like you're making it big, and people start joining you. If you play small, then who else would join you if you're playing small? And I would just show up all the time. I would stay there. Another thing, I just got married back that year. I bought a new house. I was a diamond director in my company. I couldn't go back there, stay there. Right? So what I did was, it's all about selling. You want to be an entrepreneur. Some people say, oh, we're not selling, we're sharing. That's all nonsense BS. We're always selling. You tell your kids to do something, that's selling. You get your spouse to eat for dinner, you're selling. Right? We're always selling. Selling. I sold 2 of my downlines to come and live there for 1 year. So that, hey, if I'm not there, this is how committed Simon is. He got his leaders to live there for 1 year. And we had a little 4-bedroom apartment, go out there. So that's what people buy. Right? You want to get the good people. They don't just look, oh, LV is they will join LV, but the question is, will they join you? They may not join you because you're not committed, you're not showing up all the time. And by the way, some of you may not be committed, but leverage your team, leverage your leader, right? When I first went to Malaysia, I wasn't experienced, but I went out there, found a top leader in our company, and got him somehow to share an apartment with me, split the rent. I was like a nobody, but he was a somebody, and now all of a sudden I'm leveraging his name. But I had to be a giver. I did a lot of trainings for his team. That was not even my downline. Give, help him. He said, all right, Simon, you're cool. I trust you. We will split an apartment together. People buy a change, commitment, consistency. There's so many stories I can go on and on. I mean, the big story was when they finally wanted to start. I was in Malaysia. It was 4 days before Thanksgiving. I couldn't go, and I didn't want to go. I had to change my plans, and I had to spend $1,000 on a flight, and I barely made it back home for. And that's the whole story I can go on and on about. But it was like I had to spend, I think, $1,100 to catch a flight from Manila to Singapore to Kuala Lumpur to Hong Kong to LA just to make it back in time for Thanksgiving. It was a big holiday. But I had to go to the Philippines for that, just to stay there for 30 hours, find an apartment, support my team, because I knew that if I didn't go there, these leaders wouldn't join. And I'll share one thing that really helped. My mentor taught me this was the best opportunities come when you have no time, no money, and extremely inconvenient. Okay, the best opportunities come when you have no time, no money, extremely inconvenient. Just like that meeting at midnight, extremely inconvenient. The time I had to go back and almost miss Thanksgiving, didn't change my plans to go out there. I slept maybe 2 hours, and no, I slept at the airport. Okay, it was like slept maybe combined 5 hours in a day, not much at the airport. But it's extremely inconvenient. But those are the best opportunities. And it's during those times when you show up that things happen. And even if you don't get the results, you know what it does? It builds character and builds leadership and gives you wisdom. So the next time you go out there, you make it big. I'll give you one more thing. I keep saying one more thing. There's so many things. It's like, how can I answer this question to build the Philippines in like 30 minutes, Josie? But yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought because there's so many things to share with you. Gosh, it is getting late for me. I'll tell you, I used to hang out to 3 a.m. partying, but now with 3 boys, by 7 p.m., I'm like, oh, I'm about to pass out. It's almost 7 p.m. for me. Well, there's something important I wanted to share.
You were sharing about your flight. You had to go back to the Philippines from Malaysia?
No, I mean, yeah, I made it back in time. I could go back. But I'll think about it. It's related to showing up all the time, right? No, we'll keep talking. Keep asking me questions. They'll come up.
Okay. So we've got a few questions here, Simon. You know, people are asking what sort of groundwork you did before you went to the Philippines. So when I joined my company, I knew that Philippines was opening in my previous company, but I did not go and build there for another year. And so when I went over there, it's kind of established already. And so the preparation I did was I found people here locally, literally, like I found people here who had contacts. So Simon, the question is, you know, what kind of preparation did you do before you went to the Philippines in terms of the people?
Well, I did. Okay, there's two things everyone can do, right? You can do advertising, which costs money, sinks a lot of money. Another thing is you can go to groups and just meet people, right? Like, for example, I'm into basketball. There's a lot of groups in Philippines. Philippines, like, basketball is the #1 sport. Go out to meet people. You like gardening? Join a Facebook group, Instagram. Find friends there, and just start being a friend. And for example, this is some of the strategy I used in Thailand. Right, in Thailand, I found expat groups and just start becoming friends with people there. And ask them, hey, by the way, if I'm going to Bangkok, what's a good hotel I can stay at that's safe for Americans? So people just start contributing, and then I find ways to give value to people, and that becomes a relationship. Right, and then I go there, and then one person leads to another. So think about, like, and here's the thing. I think this was what I was going to, one of the things I was going to share. And Philippines is very exciting, but also you have to think about, don't fall into the trap of the grass is always greener. For some of you, Philippines is an amazing opportunity to be a friends, people there. Some of you, it's not. Don't just say, oh, Philippines is great, I'm going to go there. In many ways, you earn more money building where you are at than going to the Philippines. Because if I talk to, I'll tell you Los Angeles, asked 100 people, probably 99 never heard of the LifeVantage before. I go to Sydney, talk to 100 people, 90-something never heard of LifeVantage. The opportunities are there. So the Philippines is a great opportunity, but you gotta really, like I said, go all in, sink money in there, travel, expenses to go there, right? Because what happens if you don't show that commitment, you can go there and recruit some people. Yes, you can do that. But once you go back, they leave. They quit. Especially the income level is not as high, right? So you gotta really make that. I talk about go on, consistently show up, support them, show up, support them. One of the things I did that helped me in spending any country is before you go there, learn the culture. I think I have those books there, those travel books. I bought 2 books, Photos Travel, right? And talked about the Philippines. Learn about what do they like. I learned about balut. Okay, there's a rotten egg, whatever, duck's egg. I learned all these type of things. So you go there, you don't sound like I didn't sound like a cocky American. I'm like, all right, you knew something about the culture. But online now, you can find anyone out there, right? You can use hashtags, find people. And if you don't know how to do it, this is not the session to explain. Just Google how to use hashtags, how to use Facebook groups. Be a human being. Like if I was going to go there, I know a lot about basketball. I know about sports cards, motivational talk. I'll go there and meet new friends. Also, ask your friends if you live in Australia, US, or anywhere. There's Filipinos everywhere in the world. Ask them if they know Filipino friends. Right? Friends who are Philippines. Networking. Most of the time, a mistake that people make is they think of every person is the destination. Every person is not the destination. They're the doorway to the destination. So if I meet John, John's probably not, but John knows a friend of a friend that can help me get into the country.
Simon, can you talk about the training? Because I know you did a lot of intensive training over there, and how you prepared the teams.
Okay, so the question is, were you able to collect live meetings or mostly Zoom meetings? There was no such thing as Zoom meetings back then, right? Back then there was no, because the internet wasn't that good. But right now people are building successfully with Zoom meetings. Okay, I have actually one-on-one coaching clients in the Philippines right now, so they do well with live, do well. But you have to understand, if you want to do well there with live meetings, Zoom meetings, it's the culture of Filipinos are. Yeah, I don't want to say the wrong way, offending you, but Philippines are very emotional, right? Emotional, and they have a different culture. So, for example, if you're talking about in our meetings, I actually have video of someone on the table jumping, raising chairs, dancing. You do a meeting like that. If you look at American, that's not very unprofessional. That's kind of like cultish. But you know what? We do one of those meetings. We're playing the music. People are dancing on the floor. They actually lifting up a chair like, yeah, screaming. Guess what? We have like 20 more rank advancements in the next 4 weeks. Because that's the culture of the people, right? Someone shows up for 1 hour late. You're like in Sydney, like America. You're like, get out of here. That's disrespect. The Filipino culture, that's all awesome. Right? In the Philippines, I had a guy travel 5 hours just to get a $10 free meal. That's another thing in the Philippines. You got to pay for money. Listen, networkers and the food workers, they just show up for a meeting because every meeting you got to have food. If you don't have food, and that's expense. If you have food, no one's going to respect you. Right? No one's going to attend that meeting. You better have food. You got to spend $100, get some food. Buy the noodles, buy the Olympia, whatever. People can eat. Right? And some people just show up just for the free food. And you got to respect that. So you have to really understand the culture, right? The Americans, like, at first I was like, whoa, this is very different. But the good news, we did a team training with 80 people, McDonald's. I bought them McDonald's value meals, the #1, right? No, it was a burger. Actually, I think we got fried chicken and a biscuit, and we fed 80 people for $250 US. But we rented the whole room. Right? But and then we do music. So you have to understand, over there, people are more emotional. They get very excited. You got to ride the wave. And it's constantly about emotion. And then they get excited and it dies down. You got to do another event up and then down. Another thing we do, I understand the culture. This is similar to like Malaysia or like in China. Is, in the US, Australia, right? I can only speak for that. In Canada, you got to be careful with health claims. You can't say like, oh, we can cure cancer, whatever. But in Philippines, again, this is a different society, not to judge. They say whatever they want. They say, this cures cancer. They say, oh, great, I'll trust you, I'll sign up. That's how they sign up. Actually, in fact, one of my top leaders, okay, maybe they don't go as far as cancer, but they say, oh, this helped me. I feel bad. I was getting sick, and now I'm so good now. I don't even know if that's true, but that's what they're saying. That's what they sign up. That is the culture there. In fact, in Malaysia and Taiwan, I had a team. They built a business. Okay, they took one of the doctors in our company had like a book that give recommendations, like what would help. This Chinese guy took that book, and it was very popular in the Philippines. Okay, took the book, and for every type of ailment you can think of, it will give you a description and a recommendation on what products to take. So, you have a laryngitis. Oh, this is what products you should take. Go take it. You have a fever, or you have arthritis. Oh, you take this. Everything, every imaginable disease is in this book, and people just pretend to be doctors, and people join because of that, and that's the culture. Now, you probably think that's totally unethical, but over there, everything's ethical like that, right? So you have to understand that. Tingy tingy, I learned that, right? People can't afford a bottle because it's too expensive. So they open the bottle and sell pill by pill. I have like these drug dealers in my team. Like, hey, you have $1? Here's 5 pills, 5 fish oils. Here, you have $2? Here's 2 days worth. And that's totally not sanitary. You're touching the vitamins, but that is the culture. You take the vitamins and put it in tiny bags. So that's how people sell off the order ship. So you have to be creative, right? And in these countries, I'll tell you one thing: they're way more entrepreneur than Western countries like America, Canada, Australia. Because the hunger, they'll make it happen. Don't tell them no. They'll find a way to make it happen. Don't tell me these rules. They want to make money, and they'll do whatever to make that money. 2 other things. I'm going to write this down so I don't. One of my top leaders, his presentation, right? He's the guy who recruited 300 people in 1 month. His presentation was, he talked about 5 minutes about the company, how these products are good. His elbow used to hurt, but now he's good. He can lift weights, right? And then he'll talk about like how this is true. He was a gangster, went to jail for petty crimes. His mom was he was a black sheep, and then he totally changed his life because of it. And then he took his surprised his mom on the birthday to a jewelry store and said, "Which one do you like?" And she's like, "Oh, that one." But she said, "Which one do you like?" Of course, the mom chooses the biggest diamond. It was $10,000 US. And he said, "All right." And he took cash and paid for it. And the mom was like, "What happened?" And then in that room, every lady is crying. And then they all sign up. That's how it works. 5 minutes about a company, 5 minutes how the products helped his elbow, 50 minutes about the story behind the diamond ring. That's a business presentation. So you have to understand the culture, right? One more thing that's really important is, here we talk about like LV. It's like a business. It's a way to earn home. Over there, it's not buying a business. People don't want the MLM. They want, you know what they're buying? There's people who've been to 20 network marketing companies, but they still join because network marketing, LV, is not a business. It is a lottery ticket. If you really understand it, you are selling a lottery ticket. You know, I have an accountant that makes $350 a month. Maybe he works hard, make KPMG, maybe make to $500. A nurse makes $200. Their whole life will be like that. Maybe if they get to work hard and be one of 100 and become a vice president of a multinational company, they may make $50,000 a year. But that's not going to happen to most people. Most people are in poverty. But with network marketing, all of a sudden they can live like make $1,000 a week, US, $5,000. It's a lottery ticket. I've had one person who he ended up making like he actually was a 6-figure earner, right? He took money from a loan shark to join. He's a pig farmer, earned $275 a month. Pig farmer took a $700 loan. Every day at 8 a.m. the loan shark will come. He had to pay back $20 US. How do you pay back $20? He took the bottle, ting, stole a couple of friends, got enough, because the bottle was like $70, $80, right? No one can afford that. Took the pill, sell a couple of bills, collected $20, give it. Every day he never missed a payment. Once he started getting some pay-in sign-ups, he was able to return the money back within 6 weeks. No harm. If you missed the payment, after 3 days, the loan shark started hurting people. It was in Tarlac. But he did it because you know what the crazy thing is? Before they got into the business, this touched my heart because people are hungry. I'm sharing this. You want to know about Philippines? In the weekends, they go to malls. And the malls are packed. Why do they go to the malls? Why do Philippines like so much shopping? It's because it's free air conditioning. Okay? It's hot as heck there. Free air conditioning. And in fact, what they did was he fed his kids instant noodles. Tons of instant noodles before they went. Why? The instant noodles are not good for you, right? Because as kids, when they go there, they'll be full. Otherwise, if they weren't full, they want to go to eat a Jollibee. They want to go to McDonald's. And they couldn't afford McDonald's. They could not afford McDonald's. So they stuff their kids with this crappy noodles so they'd be full and wouldn't complain. That's how poor. But he took a loan from a loan shark. And now he's changed his life. He makes about 85,000 US a year. Right? Which is more than he ever make in 20 lifetimes. But people see that it's a dream. You're selling the dream. And you're selling you. But why would they buy that lottery ticket from you? Are you committed? Are you consistent? All right, Josie.
Wow. That is, like listening to Simon, I was kind of chuckling here a little bit because it is so true. You listen to people's testimonial, it's just like waking up the dead and rising. And, when I attended my first corporate presentation, there was a guy, and it's actually in Simon's downline. And here he was doing a presentation, and he had this screenshot of his checks on the screen. And I was going, oh my gosh, why is this happening? Because we don't do that here in Australia. But the general manager was sitting next to me. So I was going, okay, that is so true. So definitely you need to show what LV can do into their lifestyle. So Simon, somebody was asking, how many times did you travel after you've established the leaders? I mean, did you travel after another year? Or, how did you actually pull back from the country?
I went back like 10 times in 2 years. You basically have to keep going. By the way, another thing about Philippines is too, you have to pay for everything. Okay. So if you recruit someone, you got to pay for their travel, pay for their gas, petrol. You got to pay for their gas. That's expected because someone's new. So if you're doing a meeting, you pay for everything. It's not like you do a meeting, everyone shares your potluck, $10 each. No, the leader pays 100%. If I recruited like Manuel, Manuel's meeting prospects at Starbucks. I pay for every one of his coffees he buys for his prospects. He has to buy for his prospects. You pay for that. That's expense. That's the cost of business doing in the Philippines, right? But they will, at one point, I love them. Once they reach a certain level, they'll be proud of it. Simon, I don't need it anymore. I got it. And they have to pay for it. And it duplicates, they pay for their downlines. Okay? That's the way it works. But you have to build, until they get to like a full-time income. Right? You really have to keep building because it's not you sign someone up, they'll leave really quickly. It's how long you can keep them. And especially if you don't live there, it's very, very difficult. But now it's a little bit easier. You got Zoom and stuff. I have people who have coaching clients, actually live in Canada, in Calgary, have a big team in the Philippines. They basically don't sleep. They basically don't sleep. Anytime they need help, you text them, middle of the night, 3 a.m., they support the team. Because it's the relationships. Because they love, I tell you, LVs are awesome. You guys will do really well. But the question is, will they join you or will they join? They will join. They will join. But will they join you and will they go to someone else? So they may join you and afterwards you're not supporting them. They'll join someone else. They'll quit and they'll join someone else. And I tell you, the competitiveness, right? Competitiveness and the coach, it's dog-eat-dog world, okay? Like, I don't know if that's the right saying, but like, for example, this is in Singapore, this is in Hong Kong, this was in Philippines. In Singapore, I lost out in this war because anytime I had a prospect, some other Chinese team would steal them. In the Philippines, the office was open 11 to 11 p.m., right? By 10:30, my team would line up there waiting for it to be open. And when it opened up, they'll take every table, every room. So if you send a prospect there, they'll steal your prospect away. But he's gone. We just put over. It's like, oh, you know what? But Una's out in Sydney. She can't support you. And then when she goes back, I'll be here all the time. That's why you really need to show your commitment there, right? The trust. The way I built that was just always showing up all the time, doing calls in the middle of the night, going there, and when they see that you're selfless, that's where the loyalty comes in. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, to me, it wasn't a big deal back then. But now I think back now, I realize, like, when I went there, I never have a private driver. I rode a bus. Right? And to me, it's not a big deal now. But now I'm thinking about, oh, that was a kind of dirty, smelly bus. But back then, I was hungry, too. I was hungry. And I rode a bus. And I think that was, it humbles. But, like, They felt I was part of them. I always traveled together with the team. I never mixed it. Oh, I'm here and they're there. I stayed with the team. Right, and again, that's where the relationships were built. Like the war stories, like that time our car ran over that stone, being together with the team. That's what builds a relationship. It's just like in anywhere. That's how relationships are built.
That is awesome, Simon. I know you've got an appointment. So what else in terms of building leaders? What was the best thing that you did to build your top leaders over there?
It's the best thing to build my top leaders. It's just traveling with them, doing meetings, they did so many meetings, just being there for them all times to show that yeah, people buy your commitment, change, commitment, consistency. I was always there, and when I was there, by the way, when I land, there's another thing to set the urgency. When I land, I don't, I don't like, oh, let's go sightsee. I'd never sightsee one time. It's all for business. And then why not? This is $1 million business. Why would I waste the time? Why would I waste the day? There's $1 million to be made. So if I was to take Cathay Pacific, transfer from Hong Kong, I'll get in around 12. By the time I get to apartment, a hotel will be at 2 p.m. I take a quick shower. I do a meeting at 3:30. I never took a break. So that sets the tone that Simon's here to support. He's out there. Doesn't matter if we go to 2 a.m. Doesn't matter. We're here. I'm here to kick butt and to support you. So I never wasted time. Oh, let's go sightseeing. Once, and that sets the urgency for the leaders. Like Simon's all business, right? He's out there. So they want me to come back. I didn't disappoint them. They better. I land at 2 and I'm washed up by 3:34. You better have a prospect for me to meet. We better have something set up. And normally we have a team meeting with leaders, but so that if you do that, you'll be able to squeeze a lot into a day.
Yeah, indeed. And over there, guys, people there don't leave the room after 1 hour of training. They stay and stay and stay. So you could train 4 hours, 5 hours. They just
Yeah, as long as you have free food for them, they'll stay forever. I remember I had a 7 a.m. flight. I had to get up at 5 a.m. At 1 a.m. they're still there. I was like, "Sue, you got to get out of here. I got to kick them out. You got to go because I need 3 hours of sleep. All right, so I'll kick them out. But I love it because they're hungry, and to support them is like if you don't travel, it's going to be difficult. If you don't travel, you need to travel at least one time there, right? Two times once. Like that's why I said if you're not. You have Josie on your team to help, but you really deep down you have to make a commitment. If you want to do that, go out there. You need to set 3-4 times a year to really make it big. You can do a little success, but think about this. If someone came to sign you up from Philippines to sign you up in LV and they show up once or won't show up, would you really join them? Knowing what you know now, would you really join them? Right? But you can talk about leverage your team. So for me, the last thing I have to hop off is I couldn't be there all the times because I just got married, but I got my team, got two of my American leaders to stay there for 1 year. I paid for the apartment, but they had to stay there and take care of that apartment, and they got free rent. They got free rent, but they stayed there. So Simon was still committed. Simon still paid for the apartment, and Simon must be doing well. He's paying for the apartment, and Simon got his 2 leaders to come here. That set the tone that how big this business was going to be.
Yeah. Well, guys,
leverage off the leaders.
If you learn,
I really need to go. I have a call in like 70 seconds. I cannot be late. But hey, appreciate you all. You can follow me on. You know what? Tag me on this. Follow me on Facebook. Tag me on the story on Facebook or so Instagram. Simon W Chan. Joseph can give it to you. I'd love to know what you plan to take action on. All right. Anyway, God bless you all. You guys were amazing leaders, Josie. Thanks again for our friendship and trusting me to be here. Hey, go out there, make it happen. I'll see you all online. Take care.
Thank you, Simon. So thank you so much for that. And so just very quickly, just for those of you who are wanting to build in the Philippines, when I joined my previous company, I decided to go and build in the Philippines a year later. And these are the few things that I learned. So before I went, I already made my decision that I'm going to stay there for 1 year. Because I realized that if I just went there for unless I have a leader, if I was just going for a few weeks, it probably, would take a longer period of time. So I bundled up my kids. They were still young at that time. I bundled them up. I organized the school. I did everything. And we went there with a few boxes of clothes. And then I hired an office because our office where I was living was about 6 hours drive from the main office. And so LV will have one main office in the Philippines. So let's say, for example, if you're in the southern Philippines, like Davao, Zamboanga, Visayan, and all of that, you probably need, if you are serious about it, you need an office. I tell you why. Because people want to see an office. So we created this office, I spent money for furniture, everything like that. People want to come and do a face-to-face presentation. So we taught our team how to do table presentations. So literally, people were coming. I hardly ever left the office. People were bringing people to the office, and we were doing presentations every single day. We were doing training. And so before we even open in the Philippines, number one is you got to be strategic. You got to have your own getting started. So you need to know how you get people started. You master your presentation, you master the compensation plan. People will quiz you about the compensation plan. It took me a long time to actually grasp the LB compensation plan, but people will quiz you about it. They will ask you a lot of questions about the products because everybody think their product is good. So make sure that you are prepared and you have that. But the key for me after building for like 12 months, about 4 weeks before I left, I was being prospected by this leader like, oh my gosh, you should join me and all of that. So I got to know him, and he became my leader. Without this guy, I would not have built a massive business in the Philippines. So it boiled down to one person taking the reign and going for it and really establishing it. If you don't have a leader, it's going to take you a very long time to establish a solid business. And that's exactly what I did in Indonesia. Is before it launched, I looked for people who are Indonesians over here. So there was 15 of them. A lot of them quit their job. They made a decision to go to Indonesia. Do I speak the language? No, but they speak the language. And so I went back and forth for 2 years. I went back and forth 4 times. But at that time, we already have Zoom and all of that. So Simon is right. People are looking for your commitment. People are looking for your confidence. They need to know that you know. And so if you're planning to build there, you need to know. You need to know your business like the back of your hand. And you need money. In my year that I built over there, I spent all the money that I earned, So at that time, I think I earned like $72,000. I spent all that. Why? Because I had to pay for the rent. I had to, there's just so many things that I learned along the way. I paid for the party. Like what Simon is saying, I paid for kind of almost everything, the tools, all of that. Of course, knowing what I do know now, I'm not going to do it. I'll do it differently. So when I go there, I look for leaders who have resources so we can split up the cost and drive it that way. And so you got to be prepared to work long hours. People there, they're not tired at 10 p.m. They're not tired at 12 o'clock. They want to keep going. So they're hungry to learn. And so you need to be prepared with the trainings that you need to provide for them. Product training is so crucial. So you need to have your product training all spot on, that like really, really understand the products and how different it is to the products that are out there, because they'll say to you, how is this different to USANA? How is this different to Herbalife? Or how is this different to this company and all of that? They will be asking you that. So you need to be prepared. But when you go there, I'm telling you this because I know what it will take to build the business over there is to look for professionals. Why? Because the professionals are already earning income. So they have money for subscription. They have money to join the business. So I would tap into the professionals who live in Manila, guys. My gosh, Manila's got millions and millions and millions of people. Why go to so far unless you find leaders? Like we found a lot of leaders in different markets outside of Manila. But for you guys, for it to be easier, have a look at Makati. That's where the office is going to be. There's millions and millions and millions of people over there who live there. And so they can travel to the office after work, Manila, all of that. The top earners in my previous company, the first 5 diamond directors, one is outside Manila. The 4 of them were clever enough to build in Manila. Most of the top earners in that company live in Manila. Why? Because they're close to the office. It's less expense for you, but also you have this beautiful office to take them over there. So that's just my tips for you. Is Kai Hayes here? Kai, I know that Kai went over to the Philippines, build the LV
Yes.
business, and we'd love you to share your experience, Kai.
Well, hi, Josie. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you clear.
Hold on. Can you hold on? Can you hear me, Josie?
Yes,
Sorry.
yes, very clear.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Well, yeah. If everybody knows that in
There's
2012 we actually opened up the Philippines.
Kai.
2012. We didn't have the office. It was so difficult. So, but it was easier for me because I had my own home, and I turned, a part of my home as an office. And of course, like Simon Chan there, if you are really wanting to build your own team, your own business, basically you have to invest. That's one thing that you really need to think about. You need to invest because you are going to hold meetings in say for example in Max, Max chicken house, because there's food there. Filipinos won't go to the meeting. You cannot lure them to a meeting without you feeding them at least dinner or luncheon or things like that. It's not that we we just love to eat, you guys, and we have fun eating and then after the meeting. Number one, you need to invest, you guys. No holds bar. And then you need to really work long hours, just like Josie said and mentioned a while ago, long hours, because if you want to build a certain team of people, you really need to go all out. You can't be a tourist, right? You can't be like, and consistency is the key to that. It also goes the same way with building everywhere, not just Philippines, not just Hong Kong, Singapore, but everywhere. When I was developing my Maui, I built a Pro 5 in 7 months in Maui, Filipinos, of course. You know what? I had to go there like every other month, every other month. And when I come here in the United States, I was awake at 1 hour, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Why? Because there's time difference and I couldn't say no to them because they are my team and I want them to flourish. And so really, number three is you got to be consistent in what you do. So you have to stay there longer term, right? Just like Josie, she packed up her bags and she's really all out, you guys. If you really want to build a successful team, you really needed to be all out. And don't worry about, like Simon said a while ago, don't worry about the people who's going to reject you, because there will be people who's going to reject you. Number one, may I ask you, how many visionaries do we have in percentage? There's only 2.5 percentage visionaries, right? And I think more or less 3.4 early majorities or early adopters. I think early adopters are around about 3.4%. If I'm correct, Josie, correct me if I'm wrong. And then early majorities around about 13 or 14%. So you know what? The bigger the percentage would go to the late majorities and the laggards. So you must understand that rejections will hit you left and right. It's because there's only a few visionaries, there's only a few certain amount of early majorities or early adopters, that who we're looking for to build this business. But once we get those early adopters, the visionaries, guess what, you guys? You are going to win. So it's basically a numbers game. But Philippines is wow. The guys, whether you're Filipino or not, Philippines is the best, one of the best probably people that you can prospect. Why? Filipinos are everywhere in this part of this world. Whether you be in Europe, whether you want to build in Asia, in United States, Filipinos are like mushrooms. We're everywhere. So you can really win this, you guys, and just commit to your goals. Because Josie, goodness, look at Josie. Josie is such a soft-spoken person. I mean, she's never done network marketing before, and she was a nurse. And same thing with me, guys. I was really close on network marketing business model, but right now we both embraced it, and we are so far the two Filipinos leading LifeVantage, and because we got the best. So, Josie, thank you so much for this, and thank you very much for bringing in Simon Chan, because that was brilliant. I took a lot of notes, and I believe that with his brilliant wisdom and knowledge that he passed on to us, and you are the instrument of this. You are such a great leader. I mean, servant leader, Josie. I mean, you are going to make a difference in LifeVantage, and I will be there with you, hand in hand. And you guys, me and Josie are committed to helping you guys in the Philippines as well, because I am actually bound to fly there. COVID or no COVID, my book my flight is booked. I will be there in April, and I will stay there for 2 months at least, and then come back for my son's wedding, and then come back again in the Philippines, probably with Josie. Right, Josie?
Yes, indeed. And so looking forward to joining force. So Kai and I will be doing a presentation very soon on a weekend like this. So you can invite your group. So let me just give you a couple of tips. First, when you talk to people, you'd say that because there's so many network marketing company over there. So if you're chatting on social media, just say, hey, not sure if you're interested, but we've got a US based company that is publicly traded, and we are expanding in the Philippines. We are looking for people who will be pioneers of this company. Would you be open to listen to hearing more about it? And so that is just plain simple. You're looking for people. And I love to share because, people there are a lot of people are skeptical. I send them, I don't know what you send, but I send them Biohack and Activate because I want them to understand what we have. So I send them Biohack and Activate. And then after that, I get them on to a presentation. So that is just a few tips that if you want, but definitely Kai and I will join force and some of the other Filipinos to do our presentation in Tagalog. So thank you so much, Angie, Marcy.
Yes.
Good to see you there. Good to see so many leaders here, G as well. So anything else, Kai, before we close?
I think we are just so blessed to have Philippines open up, Josie, and it's such a great market to develop. And I know for sure that all of us from LifeVantage will really can take advantage of this new opening, because once you guys tap the Philippine market, it will open the door to Singapore, to Malaysia, to Hong Kong, to other Asian countries, right, Josie? Because that's how it is, right? So yeah, keep tapping your friends over there and prepare them, and just focus on your goals. And if Josie and I can do this, I believe that everyone can do it. Let's just set things straight and work hard for it. Thank you so much, Josie. You're wonderful.
In closing, you don't need to travel there. Now use and embrace online. Just use the Zoom. That's exactly what we're doing is we're using Zoom. So you don't have to travel there. Look, when we open, I think it's going to be a great experience for you to go and meet your team. But now is a good time. There's so many Filipinos in Australia, New Zealand, US. They're everywhere. Find them in the local market first, and then they will lead you to the people over there. So grateful to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being in this call. If you want a recording of this, I'll post it in the official LifeVantage distributor. Thank you, everyone, and see you in the Philippines.